Hi people, I've had a long day, but I'm pushing myself to do part 2 of gerrymandering as promised. Part 1 was quite an interesting exercise. The comments page kind of blew up. There were a lot of comments. So I think it puts to rest anyone's belief that Singaporeans are politically apathetic. Not true, okay, judging by all the comments that I've seen. Some comments, they were supportive of my idea that the EBRC reports to the president. I think most of the comments were not supportive, and most of them, I think you were just pointing out that, for example, the current president, Arman, he's an ex-PAP guy, how independent can he be, etc. Now, I'd like to respond a little bit to these comments as well. Number one, I don't think we are looking for a perfect solution because a perfect solution does not exist. Number two, as I stated in my video, it is probably an improvement over the status quo. Institutionally, if you think about it, right? Presidency is supposed to be politically neutral, it's supposed to be independent of political parties. So based on that alone, it is already an improvement. Instead of reporting to the Prime Minister, report to the President. And even in a case like this current elected presidency and the past elected presidencies, where our presidents are very much ex-PAP members, I think when they become presidents, I think the psyche does change a little bit because now they are in a different role or different responsibility. I don't think it'll be easy for him to be fronting this most recent EBRC report. I don't think he will be able to declare this as neutral and the best drawn electoral boundaries, fair and so on, sound and so on. I don't think so. But these are my opinions. So what I'm trying to say is that put in the position of being the president for every Singaporean, being politically neutral, I think even an ex-PAP president like our current president, he will have to position himself differently. And therefore, I think it will definitely, for these reasons, work better than what is the status quo. Now, on to part 2, which is really for JC students, for your general paper purposes. So if you think that all these political stuff and all this gerrymandering that we've been talking about is totally irrelevant to you, boy, are you wrong. I will share with you a few possible GP essay questions that you could apply this concept of gerrymandering. For example, a very likely A-level GP essay questions: to what extent does the electoral process truly reflect the will of the people? If gerrymandering is present, then it probably does not truly reflect the will of the people because gerrymandering directly undermines the principle of fair representation. Remember the definition of gerrymandering, right? Which means the end outcome of the election is an outcome of political manipulation. So clearly, it distorts electoral outcomes and it will lead to situations whereby popular vote does not align with the distribution of the seats because the outcome has been manipulated. So that is one possible question to apply gerrymandering. Another one could be, is democracy always the best form of government? You could point out that while democracy is often idealized, the reality of practices like gerrymandering highlights its vulnerabilities. Okay, you can argue that without safeguards against manipulation, essentially democratic processes can be compromised. And you can even bring up the example of, in Singapore, there has been much debate about whether the EBRC should report to the Prime Minister or should it be reporting to the institution of the presidency. And even in squeaky clean Singapore, it is suggested, it is said that gerrymandering probably exists. Now, is there evidence? Well, I'm not an expert on this area, so I'll point you to someone who seems to know more than I do, and I have watched some of her videos. I'll put it up in the description as well. So I think she's a physicist studying her master's, I think postgrad in Oxford. So she seems to be very good with her stats as well. And so she's done quite good academic work, pointing out that quite a lot of what the outcomes of the EBRC reports don't quite tally with what their objectives were supposedly to be. So anyway, make your own opinions. It is good for you to go view her reel as well. Now, another possible question: assess the impact of political systems on social cohesion. Incidentally, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong just very recently highlighted the need for social cohesion. I completely agree with him. Unfortunately, I think this issue of gerrymandering could exacerbate social divisions by creating a sense of disenfranchisement among certain communities. So those who feel that they might have been so-called marginalized because now their vote don't seem to count, okay, or rather don't seem to be achieving the outcome they think it should, then it could really contribute to further political polarization and also undermine trust in the government. Okay, and that is something to me quite dangerous, and what I also alluded to in part 1 might not be the wisest thing to be seen as possibly doing gerrymandering. And that's because the trust between the government and the people could be strained as a result of that. We all want political fairness, right? Finally, just another possible essay you could consider, which is a little bit of a cross between media and politics. Discuss the role of the media in shaping political landscapes. While gerrymandering is a physical manipulation of district lines, the media also plays a very large role. How the politicians may benefit from the manipulation of electoral boundaries and how it is being portrayed through the media. So whether the media covers it objectively or whether the media covers it subjectively, well, I think there is also a potential angle of the value of social media, right? Because I won't be here and you won't be here listening to some of these sharing if not for social media platforms, right? So in Singapore, well, our state media is state-funded, and well, there's always been all sorts of criticisms about the independence or lack of independence. So this is something that you could consider as well, but I think I will also caution you to focus your essay on Singapore unless this is a in your society question, which I don't think so. Okay, for such a topic, I don't think it will be just focused on your society. I think you can be expected to draw examples worldwide, and so you should arm yourself with the knowledge of political systems worldwide, how their democracies are effective or fail, and whether gerrymandering has occurred elsewhere as well, and definitely you do find such examples. Be very clear about the definitions and examples of gerrymandering. As I stress, do not just merely arm yourself with Singapore examples, and you need to show that this could be more pervasive than we think. So democracy, yes, but really how well functioning, okay, the various democratic societies that we typically think of. So analyze its effects on political representation, social equity, and democratic principles. And it's very important for you to buttress your arguments with apt examples. So I hope I have given you some. And as I said, also do check out her video. Okay, I think there are quite strong points that she has made, quite interesting points, highly statistically evidenced. Hopefully this will help you in your GP essays, and hopefully it will also help you to think more about the future of Singapore, because I strongly believe, okay, and I think this is also MOE's objectives of having GP as a compulsory subject for all A-level students. We want everyone to be critical thinkers, and at the end of the day, it is to contribute to the betterment of not just ourselves, but really our society, our country. Okay, and with that, signing off. Ciao.